Hey, I was having mouse issues, man. This really pisses me off. Hey, good evening, everyone. And let me try to get this off. Hi, my name is Marc B. and this is Mark Knows Everybody. This is a show I try to show periodically, showcasing my friends I have on Facebook. These are people that I have known for a very, very long time. And Dot, I see you. You're fine. And I wanted to showcase this special show this evening because we have a very, very important convention coming up. This is one of the best conventions that I've ever been to in my entire life. I had the pleasure of being a volunteer for them, with them for many, many years prior. And I'm just happy to say I have fellow moderators from DragonCon who is joining us this evening. And there's a lot that we're going to tell you. You're going to find out. So I'd like to bring them up. You know them by various names, such as Crispy, such as Brian, such as Tony G, such as Tony P. We have the lovely Dot, and we have Renee. Hi, guys. How you doing?
Hey.
Good.
Hi. Good evening.
Hello from the internet.
That's where this is?
Yeah, it's the outer net. Yes. Look.
Yes.
These are not all the moderators that moderate at DragonCon. I apologize to everyone and anyone who hadn't been extended an invitation, but in all honesty, I didn't have the room, and some of you guys I've never met before, so I'm going to blame that on Tony G, on all of that. He should have known. But Mark, there's more. You know, he did not.
It's a big show.
There are tons of moderators at
Really big
DragonCon
show.
for a big show, that's for sure.
Yeah. Now, a lot of us you've seen before, speaking to the audience. You've seen us moderate various individuals, whether they are actors from the television and movie world, or whether they are voice actors from the television and movie world, and so on. But I wanted to bring these folks on because these guys have actually had excellent experience in what they've done so far. Brian, I think you're newer to all of us in terms of the moderating scheme. See, I keep wanting to say last year. Was
2018.
2018 was your first time.
When we all say last year, we mean 2019, by the way. But my first year moderating officially was 2018.
And who was your guest then? Who did you have?
It was Benedict Wong, and I'm trying to remember the second one. The second in command in all the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. One of those guys who's been in everything in England.
Kevin McNally?
Kevin McNally.
Yes.
Yeah, Kevin McNally.
And Gina Torres, no pressure. And
So
all
beautiful.
of those on a Friday. So
there.
Benedict Wong was 10 a.m. and Gina was like 5:30. So that was my Friday.
You know, I was just with Kevin McNally yesterday. Oh, actually, the day before yesterday, Monday, the day before yesterday, he was here in town doing the con, and
nice.
And, got up with him and Lee Ehrenberg, who
Oh God, Lee's so much fun.
Yeah, they're fantastic people. Well, we all know what it's like to moderate, but honestly, what is it like to moderate? Crispy, I'll go to you first.
Oh, it's just a fun time. You know, people think like, oh, there must be all this pressure that's put on you because you have to manage things and keep conversation going. But to me, it's just a conversation, right? You know, it's just a really fun experience to be a facilitator on that stage. And in order to ensure conversations are going, the stories are being told. I love storytelling. And that's just something that comes out of panels, is storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
Tony P, down here underneath Crispy there. What's it like for you to moderate?
It's exciting. Like it's, I do get nervous and it's just exciting, but it's a good excitement. It's like jumping out of a plane. Exciting, you know, it's like it's fun. The next thing you know, it's over, and it kind of happened in a flash. But yeah,
I see what you did there.
All right. Getting ready for the big
With
show.
or without the parachute? That is the question.
But yeah, that's it. That's exciting. That's my word. That's what I'm going with.
Let's go down with Renee. Let's keep going down. Renee, what's it like for you?
Hey,
tic-tac-toe. Straight down the middle.
I was gonna say that would be the center square.
Exactly.
So excited. Yeah, I also get very nervous, and I always use it as an opportunity to learn each time I do it. So whether I think this may be my first year in that's not true. I think I've had at least one moderating a big room panel at Dragon, but a lot of times I will lead and moderate panels in my own track room which is a little bit smaller, more fan based. And that's always really easy. Like it is the conversation that there's back and forth with all the fans. And that part is so fun. But when it gets to be a bigger guest where you have a lot of people's eyes on you, or even in situations when we did virtual last year, it was, I could tell that I was nervous in the beginning because you're kind of trying to get in the flow and understand what kind of questions are they comfortable answering, what kind of questions have they heard a million times and are going to give, their more standard question. How much fun can we have with this? And usually about halfway through a panel, it's like, okay, this is super duper fun. Everybody is much more relaxed. And then around about that time is when you open the floor up for the fans to have their chance to ask the questions. And that is usually really cool because you get to see some really good interactions and some really good excitement from the fans getting to actually have their sort of one-on-one time with these different guests. So it is very fulfilling.
Good. And Dot, your turn. How about you? What's it like?
It's the greatest exercise in listening. Like you spend so much time really conversing with people, whether it's the audience or these people we idolize in certain ways for bringing all of our fandoms to life. And so I think there's something really human in the experience as well. And it's always a reminder that like these people who are my literal heroes, right, who play my heroes, who are my heroes, are really just people too. And so it's always really fun to sit and share. And I find that is when my nerves kind of dissipate, is that moment where I'm like, oh yeah, duh, they're just human. And that's a really cool thing to get to sit with other humans and get to share, like Crispy said, in stories. So
excellent. And of course, everyone knows the beloved Tony. Before we came on the air, we were speaking. We were actually asking Tony, how's it been these last few days at the office? And are you sober right now, by the way?
Yes, absolutely.
Are you hungover right now?
Yeah.
Well, no, I am not. I am not.
Tony had the privilege of sharing with us. Man, I wonder who's all watching this. With all the questions that he gets from telephone calls. What were you saying? We were saying, Tony, tell him what you said to me.
I said that every email interaction and phone call with our fans is like a treasure, like a little nugget of gold that a dragon has left for me.
You are such a liar. Oh my
God.
I heard that.
I was thinking you said treasure, and what I heard was like those treasure chests that you see in the D&D manuals with the big teeth.
The mimic.
That's kind of what I had in my head.
Yeah, like a mimic one.
Yeah.
Go behind me.
Somebody needs to roll for a con save.
He's not gonna admit to it, folks. So I guess I'll have to. Ladies and gentlemen, Tony basically said with every 100 question that came in, he took a shot. So I did. I asked him if he's sober right now because the show ain't over. In fact, you shut the office down a week prior to the show, correct?
Not quite a week. We closed the office on Tuesday or Wednesday of the week of the show. I'm a little out of practice since we didn't have an in-person show last year, so I can't exactly recall. But I'm sure my boss will let me know when I can lock the doors. So as we move everything to downtown, there's not much left behind. It takes some pictures of things just in case something has been forgotten, and do a little deep cleaning before we move downtown. Since the whole building is empty, it's an opportunity for us to make sure it looks really great for when it all comes back.
So, Tony, you're saying the office is going to be closed for cleaning?
Yes.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm still in the FedEx. Anyway, so
it'll be closed for cleaning.
We'll clean next
Dragon
year.
Con's hottest panel is closed for cleaning. It has everything.
Oh my God.
Normally we don't start cults till the show starts, but we started one like yesterday. So
any of you guys moderating that panel closed for cleaning?
I can neither confirm nor deny who's involved.
Right.
In that.
Yeah.
Well, other than the cleaning
Crispy and
crew,
I are like
exclusive.
other than the cleaning crew, you'll be by yourself, right?
Yeah. We're actually Crispy and I are still
too.
negotiating the broadcast rights for Close for Cleaning with their agent. But we don't know if it's actually going to be on the stream or not.
Trademark.
We'll see.
Yeah, you
Keep your eyes
next
up for the
question. You over there, Can I get a break?
Yeah, my panel room has like the same time every day is closed. So I'm making sure there's nothing happening in it. Sometimes there's nothing even happening right before or after it because I'm like, go to other rooms. Like, just let this one marinate for a while and just feel the niceness, smell the ozone fumes, and then go somewhere else, and then come back later in the evening time.
Fresh zone.
Well, let me ask each and every one of you guys. We'll try not to keep you too long for this show, but thank you for joining me nonetheless, because I'm sure there's a lot of questions. First, for the audience, if you have any question for any of our moderators here, you can go ahead and type that. If you're watching on YouTube, you're watching on Facebook, we're everywhere right now, Twitter. Go ahead and type a question in, and we'll try to get these guys to answer. They may want some apple pie, but
Go on, tell me more.
what did Joe say here? The non-denominational cleaning crew of like-minded, hygiene-conscious zealots.
Yes,
I
let
joined
us
that
spray.
cult. Yes.
Let us spray. Let us
I
spray.
am not working out
Let us
the
spray.
initials for this. Let us spray. No, it should be squish.
Let us
squish,
spray.
squish,
Let us
squish,
spray.
squish.
Yeah.
Okay, let me go to
missed
Tony
that
P. Okay, Tony P. I'll go to Brian next after this, since he's our newest one. Can you give me shortly, very brief, your best moderating experience?
Ooh.
And being very diplomatic about the second answer, your worst moderating experience.
Oh goodness.
Make sure that person isn't dead yet. Okay, so be very careful.
Fortunately, my worst wasn't that bad. I'm not gonna say who the person was because they
It's
were
fine.
amazing, but they just talked. I mean, they were great. I'll tell you later, and you'll be like, yeah, that person's awesome. But they just talked. There was no moderate. It wasn't back and forth. They didn't need
Right.
me, honestly. They just ran, and it was amazing. So for me, that was my worst because I was like, oh, I'm kind of,
I know
Can I get you
know who
something?
that
You know.
I know who that was. In fact, I think I have a panel or two where I'm really not needed, so I'm expecting it. I'm kind of used to it. So that's your worst. What was your best?
Yeah. Best. Ooh. I honestly don't know. They're all, and even that one, even my bad one, they're all great. They're all a unique experience, which is why I love it. It's different every time. So I'm gonna say all of them.
Aww.
Aw.
I'll come
Nice.
around. I'll come back to you because I have another follow-up question. On what you said.
Trying to get
Brian,
us fired.
best and
Right.
worst, and you're right. It's probably best if we don't mention names unless it's the best. But
Yeah.
in terms of
Yeah,
worst, let's try to be very diplomatic about it. And we are a friendly, loving convention, and we hate no one. So, Brian, how about you? Best and worst?
The only worst I have is that when I did the Expanse panel in 2019, my two guests were 20 minutes late, and it was not their fault because someone decided that they should take a van from the Westin to the Hyatt. The panel was great, but it did start 20 minutes late, and that was like the first one I had to do that year, and that's a great way to set the tone.
Yeah.
But it was fantastic once it got rolling.
Hey, birth by fire, dude. Birth by fire.
Yeah, my best. Ooh, this is a tough one. I was almost going to say Star Trek Discovery panel I did last year. Well, by last year I mean 2019.
2019.
Or the Scalzi panel I did literally last year, where I made burritos with him in simulcast since we couldn't actually show up. We both had to do it in our houses. And John Scalzi, who is our guest of honor this year, is famous for making burritos and putting pictures of them on the internet. And they're just whatever he's got left over in his house. So it might be ranch dressing and lasagna. Like that's literally a food item that he's made and says was good and ate and admitted to it publicly. So we had a burrito making lesson then. But the Gina Torres panel from 2018 is still the special place in my heart.
She's so beautiful.
Because I managed, and there's video evidence of me for 60 minutes straight being a complete rational adult on stage next to Gina Torres. And I don't know how that
I don't
happened.
believe it. I'm sorry.
I couldn't have done it.
It's literally on DragonCon.tv. So if you got $10, you can go find out.
Well, I'm
Nice
sure
plug,
there was a
nice
drool
plug.
bucket somewhere near your feet, right? At that time, I'm sure.
Yeah, no towels, no sponges. We didn't have to close for cleaning at 6:30 afterwards. It was fine. Everything was good. And the opening, I always try to do some kind of icebreaker bit between getting them on stage and opening up for questions, just to kind of set a tone with the folks that are on stage.
Right.
And that one was little known fact. She went to the high school that the TV series Fame is based on.
Oh,
wow.
And so in the opening, I'm like, so Gina, and when I mentioned that fact, I'm like, so when you were at the school, did you learn how to fly? Because that's the second group of lyrics in the song. And
Showing your
she
age,
laughed,
Brian.
and then we were off to the races. Everything was great.
Yeah.
Great. Crispy.
Yeah.
How about you? Best and worst?
Oh man. So like the worst experiences are kind of compounded with the best. It's when things don't go according to a plan. You have guests who show up late, who maybe you cause panel late. Like I've never really had an awful panel experience, but I have had them kind of go off the rails a little bit. To the point that there's now a note at every director's meeting about a panel that I moderated. So I'll leave that story offline for now.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Not a bad thing necessarily. It was my first year doing panels, and I didn't know that. Oh yeah, this conversation's everyone's having a good time. Oh yeah, this is pretty adult. So you just have to keep in mind as a moderator that you listen to your audience, even though the audience might be listening. Still remember what time of day it is. So it wasn't necessarily a bad experience. It was a learning experience.
Okay.
And everyone who was in the room had a good time, as far as I could tell. So
you have a top tier? You have a top one that you would?
My favorite experience actually came from last year in 2019. It was probably one of the last two that I did. It was the Monday morning death slot, as I like to call it, the 10 a.m. Monday morning. Everyone's checking out.
Oh, that's the hard one,
right? And it was supposed to be Gotham series finale. And then it was just Donald Logue and I. Donald Logue, who had nothing to do with the final episode of Gotham. I show up early, realize the night before that it's just Donald, and I get there, and he and I meet about 30 minutes before we realize there's only 10 people in line. So let's do something really special. And this is a panel that wasn't recorded. You had to have been there. Donald and I said, forget the stage. We got 2 chairs, sat on the floor. Each had a wireless microphone just so people could hear us as they walked in. We had everyone sit just with us kind of as a fireside chat. And we just had conversations. People would raise their hand. We'd be like, don't raise your hand. It's a conversation. Just jump in here. Yeah. And we started 10 minutes early. We ran 15 minutes late just because it was an organic, beautiful conversation. And it was easily like one of not just the greatest hour and a half I've ever had at Dragon Con, but just one of the greatest hour and a half of my life.
Yeah, those are the best. I really like those intimate circles. I've done a couple of those myself. How about you, Dot? You got anything you can remember?
I also have one of the late stories, right? But which left me like all but tap dancing on the stage until we figured it out. But it was fine. Everybody was really nice about it. But my favorite, if you don't already love Harvey Keaton, I fell in love with him in the middle of a panel. He was so moved by everybody that was cosplaying all of the vampires. And I remember he kept leaning over and trying to whisper, can I take pictures with him? And I was like, you can do whatever you want. You're Harvey Keaton. Like, this is your panel. This is a one-on-one, Your name. And it was like, he was just so grounded and down to earth. Again, one of those like really human moments. And so at the end, he was like, I have to take a picture with these people. And so he got off the stage, went down front, had everybody that was dressed come up and take a big group photo. And I'm over on the side with like full anime girl eyes, like, oh my God, this is the greatest thing I've ever witnessed. I was just really floored by how humble and how much joy he brought to a room, just like taking pictures with the fans. It was just wonderful. And that had nothing to do with moderation and everything to do with Harvey Keaton, but just getting to be there and witness is worth it.
So no bad then, huh?
My bad was, like I said, it was like late. So far, I've not done a lot of the big panels in person. So this will be my first like really big year of having a full schedule for Dragon Con, which is really exciting. So not my first time moderating, but my first time taking on a little bit more love from Dragon Con. So I'm really excited. But like I said, my bad was like schedule mishap. People didn't show. Yeah. Dot was left on stage, and I was like, let's talk about this show that we all adore together. The person may not be here, but we're all here for a reason. And so we just kind of nerded on stage until the person showed up. So
cool beans. Renee, you have anything to share with us?
So I think I'm in the same boat where some of my biggest guest panels were actually last year, 2020, during the virtual Dragon Con Goes Virtual, where I did I moderated for the Dragon Prince panel for Dragon Con. Anything else has kind of been related. Like I've done more MomoCon panels than I have done like DragonCon ones, and I've done more of the my own personal room. But I would say that I did have a good experience with a great conversation with Kimberly Brooks when she was able to come a couple years ago.
I love her.
She's so lovely.
She's so sweet and so funny and so nice. And it was thankfully not the first time I had actually spoken with her and met her. So I was actually, it may have been at that point the third, just like in passing. And I hate being that person's like, you remember me, right? But she said to me one day, she was like, oh yeah, I recognize your voice. And I was like, oh my gosh, my favorite voice actress of this century, of this decade.
You can say century.
Recognizes my voice. It is a century.
We know she's a vampire. You can say
yeah.
century.
Exactly.
That's what I was thinking,
Black
yeah.
don't crack, as they say. She's like 24-ish, and I'm like, she's younger than me,
Yeah.
I think. We're probably very similar in age. I don't know, but she was so sweet, and that really made my day. And then anything that was negative, like a bad experience, probably came from, again, a smaller room panel where I think I just talked too much. The panel was supposed to be more about music, like we were playing like 80s, 90s cartoon openings. And I was kind of like trying to do the improv, like, oh, what's up with pole position? You know, and they didn't want to hear that. They just wanted to hear, they just wanted to watch the.
Well, we've all been
cartoon.
accused of. Yeah, we've all been accused of chattering a little too much.
That's what we're talking about.
But the I will note on that the reviews that people write are very helpful when people do rate in the app the panels that they're in. I mean, people can be very nice about how they said it, but I have read those, and we hear you. So
Yes.
thank
hear
you for
you,
letting
exactly.
us
Every one of
know.
them.
All right, so
Yes,
let's go to Tony. I'm sorry, Renee.
Oh no, that was it.
I thought
Like
you were
she's done
done.
talking.
That scene.
Finish that thought,
Use
Renee.
the app. Use the app. That was all.
Use the app. that was like smart. Tony, good and
Yes,
bad.
sir.
Good and bad, sir.
Good and bad. Okay. I've had a few shining moments, but one that I'm most proud of was the year. It was 2014, and we were talking about Mr. McNally earlier, and I was doing a panel with him, and he was mentioning his wife, Phyllis, and he was like, you know, from Downton Abbey, and I just looked at him, and I was like, what? He was like, yeah, Phyllis Logan, she's Mrs. Hughes on Downton Abbey, and I was like, she's here? He was like, yeah, she's sitting in the back. I said, would you be a dear and introduce me? And he did. When the panel was finished, he introduced me, and she was all like, hi, nice to meet you. Atlanta's lovely. Good shopping. And I'm like, cool. I was like, so would you be interested in stopping by and saying hello to fans that are gathering for a Downton Abbey panel on this day that I had been invited to be a panelist on? So I knew about it, and she was like, what does that mean? I was like, well, kind of like what you just witnessed your husband do. There's actually a panel about Downton Abbey, the show you're on. And she's like, no, there's not. She was so just kind of bewildered that a science fiction pop culture convention would also include something like Downton Abbey. And I was like, no, there's a panel that's for you. I would love to sneak you in the back door, have you just say hello. And you know, of course, these promises that guests make are sometimes broken because they get dragged away. And it was scheduled days later. This was early in the weekend when I got a chance to meet her and talk to her. So on the day of, I ran into both of them, and they were still all excited. And she was actually more eager than when I first broached the subject a couple of days earlier. So I was like, okay, maybe this is going to work. And so brought her in, and I had just told everyone on the panel, I was like, hey, if I suddenly stand up, would everyone stand up with me? We're going to stretch. And they were like, okay, weirdo, sure. So I stood up because in the television show Downton Abbey, when Mrs. Hughes, the head of the women servants, would come into the room, everybody stood for her. So when I stood up, everybody stood up, and then she opened the door and walked in, and she walked around the room and appraisingly to those that were dressed in costume. And then I invited her to sit on the chair. Like, I think I physically pushed someone off the panel that, like, sorry, Eternal Zan, or whoever I kicked off the panel, and put a chair down. And she sat down. And then I was like, you know, if you have I know you have dinner reservations, giving her that out as we professional moderators do. Like, I know you have dinner reservations, so stay as long as you like. But if you would like to engage in the panel, we would love to have you. And she was like, oh, I'll just sit for a bit. She stayed through the whole thing and answered everybody's questions.
Oh my God.
And the Brits don't give a damn about spoilers. So she was spilling all the tea about the upcoming season of Downton Abbey, talking about how her character was getting married and it's going to be so fun. And everybody in the room is like, say more. Please tell us. So that to me is one of the proudest moments, that it was not something that was on the app or in the program book, because she was literally one of our guests +1. She wasn't booked as a guest herself, but we were able to, and people were like openly weeping, falling out of their chairs on the floor. It was like a revival, and I was here for it. So that's probably one of the best surprises that I was able to pull off. But as far as
worst, or I don't like to use that word worst, but
I mean, like
suboptimal.
Yeah.
Suboptimal. I mean,
Learning moment.
You know,
I like that.
There was someone from a show who had never done a panel before, and was really excited about the end of the day where they were going to go to their room and order a chicken Caesar salad and read this really great book that they had brought with them to the panel and showed it to the audience. And it had nothing to do with the show they were representing. And I was like, oh, we're going to do that. And it was just me and that guest. None of the other guests from the show were there yet.
Yeah.
Right.
So while I was painstakingly pulling questions, and it was a panel of a show that I didn't watch, so I had no idea what I was talking about. So I just went through the basics of, like moments on set, and I was like snooze fest. And thankfully there was another guest from that show that crashed the panel, that had their car had dropped them off. They had finally arrived on site and put helium in the room. Those people lost their mind. Apparently he was a bigger star on the show by the way everybody reacted. He took the book that the person was going to read and threw it in the audience and was like, oh no, you're getting tanked with me tonight. I'm going to show you. This is a party con. And I was like, oh, you saved my life. Because it was just, not everyone is built to do a panel in front of thousands of people. I mean, it's just, an actor is an actor. They're not necessarily a public speaker, two very different roles.
Yep.
So I will say, without revealing that poor person, because I understand they've gotten better with time, it was just their very first panel, and it was a room that held 1,500 people, and they were not equipped to handle Q&A with fans, because they were like, you care? I mean, literally was just like bewildered by fan questions. Like, why do you, you watched it? I just couldn't believe that people watched the show. I was like,
what was the book though? I need to know what this book was.
Oh, I don't know.
That's one thing I love about Dragon Con is there's a lot of guests. It's their first, not just Dragon, like their first convention ever. I've interviewed and moderated so many people. That was just their first convention experience. And like, wow, what a way to get started. Like Dragon was my first con ever, and I've only ever worked it. So like, you come into our house, we do everything that we can to treat you right. And we want to make sure that you have, like, you as a celebrity have fun, because if you're not having fun, audience is going to pick up on that. You're not going to want to come back. Why are you here?
Right.
Yeah. It's always fun. I love seeing the guests react to that in real time.
Yeah.
Watching, like when Stephen Strait and Wes Chatham were late for their panel, the handlers just brought them in through the front door of Centennial 2-3 at like 10 o'clock in the morning on a Friday. So the room's still pretty full. Like not that many people bailed. And then they're like, oh, well, there's 1,000 people cheering for us being late. That's weird. And then they come on stage, we do the panel, and then we get backstage and they're like, where are we? This is insane. Like they had no idea what they were coming into. And then they're asking me, he's like, we have to go to the Marriott for this Walk of Fame thing. Can we just walk there? Because I want to see more of this.
Sure.
And I'm
self-walks.
And you could just see the handler going, and I'm like, if your handler is okay with it, this is the little tunnel you take, and you will see all the things, and this is where you hang out. But only if the person who's responsible for your safety, only if Dad says it's okay, But
unless you're Peter Capaldi, and then in which case you duck your handlers at any chance you get.
Yeah.
He got here.
I'm sure Wes was like, I'm out of here, bye.
I'm apparently the only person who didn't randomly run into Peter in 2019.
Yeah, like at 3 a.m. he was wandering all the parties and was taking pictures with everyone.
Oh, yeah. And it's really interesting how I just watched World War Z last night, and I said, "What the?"
The Who Doctor.
Oh, he was the Who Doctor.
The Who Doctor. Yeah,
totally forgot.
That's
totally
backwards.
I like to share. I have 2 best and 1 worst.
Okay.
And unfortunately, I'm name dropping. Okay, because it
wouldn't be Mark Lee otherwise.
What?
George Takei told me not to name drop so much.
So, I know. So anyway,
he dropped Tony P.
my 2 best. Okay, my 1 best is Stan Lee.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
It's a good one.
My worst is Stan Lee, and only because of something I really can't reveal, but it was. It's kind of sweet and touching, but I don't think it's anything that should be shared. I'll share it with you guys personally, but I had a really bad experience that involved him, but had nothing to do with he and I. So, oh, hey, what are you doing down there?
Hey.
Oh, anyway, so
We're just defragmenting the host. It's fine.
My best was the day before their panel. The cast of BSG, Battlestar Galactica, was in the bar. And
stop.
Shocked,
right?
Sharing a drink. They were missing someone, okay, in the cast. I'm not going to tell you who. But what they decided to do, one of the cast members says, "Hey, I have a great idea. I think I know where his room is. Let's go get him." Anyone who has been around the Marriott know that you don't take those elevators, correct?
You don't just go get someone from a hotel.
No.
One does not
In the Marriott.
elevator in the
Well,
Marriott.
We had an alternative way of getting up to the rooms, shall I say. So Edward Ames, Olmos, Tricia Helfer, you name it. We went floor hopping, running down the hallways, banging on every door, turning around to where we came from, going up to the next floor, getting off the elevator, running down the hallway, banging on the door. So the next day at the panel, they're all up there except that person we were looking for. So I started the panel, we started talking, and in comes the individual that we were looking for. As he walked to the front row to plant himself in the chair, he held his cell phone up in the air and says, "I got a phone number, MFers," to everybody up on the stage. And that was the end of that.
Aaron Douglas, he was on the 11th floor.
Yep.
Name dropper.
Edward James Olmos and Jamie Bamber walked into my suite, which was connected to all theirs, and my husband was full naked in the bed reading a book, going, "Can I help you?" And they were like, not even bothered.
Right.
Is Aaron here? And Andrew was like, "Well, I sure the hell hope not." I said, his room is 2 rooms down.
It wasn't my
Question,
idea.
Tony.
I honestly think it was Trisha's idea to say, "Let's go."
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise. Yeah.
Wow.
So
that was back in my hair raising days. I'm a lot calmer now.
I remember I was one of the first people to actually get Aaron Douglas drunk on pie.
Yes.
He came out and did a panel
We discovered pie.
the day after, and
One
we're
of my favorite
hungover
highlights
together.
of a panel ever.
I walked up to him backstage, and he repeated this on stage. He walked up to me. He's like, I hate you. You made my liver crawl out of me. Never again." And then lovingly, of course, and then went on stage.
That quote is a little bit longer, if I remember correctly.
It was a lot longer and a lot less.
Whatever. He's a jerk. When my husband and I stayed at his house in Vancouver, he made us squeegee his damn shower every time we used it. He had one of those big, huge, magnificent, full party size showers, 4 complete glass walls, and had this little tiny damn squeegee. And he was like, "My housekeeper only comes once a week. Will you squeegee after each shower?" And I was like, "Yeah, that sounds fun."
All 4 sides of it.
All 4 sides, right?
So the person that put you up in their house and let you and your family
and
use their shower
work.
Earn the keep.
It's amazing. Hey,
He's lovely.
next
He's
topic.
lovely.
By the way, Tony,
Lovely human
that is Air BSG. You should give them a better review.
Air
I'm
BSG.
writing
2
a
stars.
strongly
Had to squeegee my own
worded-
shower.
2-star
Rated
rating.
by robots.
Okay, guys, next question. This is an important
Yeah, sorry, segue.
No. This is great. Keep that up. That's all well and fine. But next question, I have to ask you this. We talked about celebrities that we worked with, not all of them, of course, because I'm sure there's 100 stories that all of us can tell about any individual that we've had at Dragon Con, but about the fans. When you are sitting, we all love the fans.
Yeah.
But have you had any situation, or have you had a very unusual, uncomfortable, inappropriate question that may have been asked the celebrity that may have caught you off guard?
Well, I'm gonna go to the basement real quick just to grab a snack.
Oh yeah.
Some good quality water right here.
Ooh, Crispy and I were literally just talking about this weekend, actually. Yeah. And I'm trying to think of how best diplomatically to go about it, but
first off, who was it? No.
Right.
It was a person named Tony P, and we really
checks.
Who was it? It was
Renee, come on.
Brady
Give me the
Bunch
tea.
here.
What do we got?
Yeah, come on. Who is it?
okay. Well, again, this wasn't Dragon Con, so is that okay? But I think it could relate to all conventions.
I mean,
Do
if
you want to go back
sure.
to that convention,
that's fine.
girl? Or
So it's always
Or are they
like
coming here? Like,
no, but it's kind of
Wasn't one of our fans.
Usually my stories will be like MomoCon, so we'll say it was probably at MomoCon, but the situation revolved around scandals in the voice actor community. Okay, I don't know that I need to like name real names because we know and we never know if we're going to see those people again, but there have definitely been scandals in the voice actor.
Women of color
community.
Completely underrepresented.
Right.
Well, but that's not what I was talking about. More on the like
different scandal.
Yeah, different
Personal scandals.
Yeah, personal scandals, assault, bad things. People going to jail, all that sort of.
Yeah.
So people who are in sort of that, those proceedings, because there was a court and law things and lawyers involved, and and we screen all of our questions. We ask first. There's a runner. Runners do the best jobs. They're the best. Volunteers are the best, and they'll ask the question. What are you going to ask? And the person's like, I just want to ask them if they like blah, blah. Okay, cool. Person gets up to the mic and says, what do I want to ask? Something definitely inappropriate about this scandal that you're in, and how do you feel about it? And we were like, AV's like, cut the mic. The runner's like, thank you, no. And it's just really awkward because it's always the big panels, and it's always the most kind of awkward person. So, but what's I think because these keep happening, a lot of the guests are a little bit already prepared for it, and they will either have a PR response or a great moderator will just immediately step in and say, I don't think that's an appropriate question for right now, and we're going to move on to the next one. And it's like, they'll give a beat and make eye contact with that runner. The runner is like, safety's already waiting at the door to take that person's bags. Like, it's a whole nice machine now. But it happens, and it's unfortunate and kind of annoying.
Renee, I think I know you. I mean, well, of what I know, and I'm sure you handle that well. And you can always, I think we've all been caught off guard, but it's how you come back off of that. I make a habit when I'm backstage before I bring anybody on to ask them, is there anything we should be talking about? Are you expecting anyone? Are there people we should know about? And I had Candace Patton. I think I had the cast of The Flash, and Candace Patton has said to me backstage, "Oh my God, Mark, thank you for asking. There's something going on online. I think it's a Twitter thing or whatever, and I suspect that there may be an unnecessary question that may come up to the mic addressed to me." I said, okay. I'll tell you what, this is what we'll do. If that person does come to the mic, whether you recognize them or you recognize the question, do me a favor, just touch me on the arm, and then I'll take it from there. Okay. And lo and behold, this person came up to the mic, and this person was highly religious, and I'm a religious person myself, but we all have extremes out there.
There's a time and place for Jesus.
Exactly. Especially on the corner of the parade. Anyway, so this person came up to the mic and basically asked Candace Patton about living in a house with someone she's not married to. There's more
That's
to
what we're
it.
concerned about these days?
Scandalo.
at
Scandalous.
Dragon
And
Con?
Wow.
that's where
They
we
paid
went.
money to go to
So-
Dragon Con and ask that question?
So hold on.
Right.
So believe it or not, Candace touched my arm. And I'm like, hey, sir, thank you for your question. And she yanked my arm back and she said, no, I changed my mind. I'm going to answer this.
Mhm.
Long story short, if this guy walked through the hallways around Dragon Con for the rest of the weekend, I'm sure he would have been a target because Candace really laid. I don't know if there's anybody online who was at that panel and remember that, but she really laid into this guy.
Yeah.
And
Good for her.
I'm glad she
Yeah.
did it because literally, I think I would have said, hey guys, sir, thank you for your question. I don't think this is the appropriate time to ask something like that. We're all fans. We're trying to enjoy
Yeah.
Candace Patton here, yada, 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 whatever you make up on the spot. But
Yeah, mine is always 10 points to Slytherin. Next question.
exactly.
That's nice.
So we do interview our guests backstage and kind of ask if there's anything we need to look out for.
Any
Yeah.
scandals
I think that's
or-
probably a
yeah.
good habit to have because you never know. The internet is crazy these days.
You know,
So-
that's funny, Tony. You mentioned Slytherin. My biggest concern this year is I'm moderating some Harry Potter people, which I'm super excited about. I was like, do we? You know,
Oh yeah, that.
Oh yeah, because the author
Anyway.
is trash. I
We,
get it.
we don't have
yeah.
we don't have the elephant logged in that we can put them up in the corner. Apparently, I mean, I'm glad you brought this up because my thought on this was like my first moderating panel was Benedict Wong, and there's no video of this because it was in a smaller room. We didn't actually have question moderators in this room.
Okay.
Normally at Dragon Con, there's people holding the wireless mic and they do a little bit of screening and help us out.
Yes.
But in when you get like a medium-sized room, you just have the lonely microphone on the stand, and the tech op person like tapes it down at 9:45, and then hope
Right,
that everything is
yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
And
Bring a friend.
Yeah,
Always bring
researching-
a friend with you.
researching Benedict
your
Wong,
mic
like he's
person.
got opinions about
Yeah.
Asian American
Oh,
representation in
Yep,
movies,
yes, he
and
does.
taking the you're going to get the gangster number 3 role or the old wizened mask. Like he's got very strong opinions about things that he legitimately should have opinions about. And I'm like, am I the guy who's going to be moderating the panel and have to like deflect a question about
Mhm.
representation because I'm not exactly the role model for that? And I asked him backstage, I'm like, is there anything, is off limits? He's like, no, absolutely not. And then the first question was on opinions about, Asian representation in film.
Yeah.
And I'm like, where's this going to go? And he was just ready. And it was a wonderful discussion. I really wish I had this recorded somewhere because every
Right.
time one of those questions where I'm like, I don't know where this is going to go, he's just on top of it and handles it. And it wasn't confrontational in his mind. It was open for a discussion.
Yeah.
And it was really wonderful the way that he handled that.
That's great. Anybody else have an experience they want to share with us concerning fans during your moderated panel?
I mean, but like Dot, you've not said much. I don't want to step
Yeah,
on
we're
toes.
on
I mean, I guess I've been I've seen, as an audience member, I've seen some other audience members. You know what? Instead of, because I don't know that I have one story that's going to rock everybody's world, but I'll tell you this. Everybody out there, just remember, both the panelists, the moderators, the runners, you as the audience, everybody that's sweating and sitting next to you are supposed to be there to have fun and bring joy to the things that we love. And
Absolutely.
you can't do that when your questions tear other people down.
Yes, absolutely. Good point. Excellent.
Mhm.
Go ahead, Tony.
Ooh,
Uh-oh.
take
Good
me
luck
to
following that
church.
one, Tony.
But that's so true, though. You're absolutely
is.
right. I'm like, why do people want to? They want attention. They think that this little negative moment of fabulosity is going to somehow lift them up on shoulders, and they're going to be carried around the room for being so amazing,
Mhm.
for flummoxing a table full of people or pissing people off. For me, I was caught off guard with a particular guest because I was unaware that they had written a book on rape and abuse.
Wow.
Okay.
Would have been good to know.
Mhm.
So the lesbian brigade that was in the room, the moment they walked in the door to say hi to the guest, they were like, yeah, I'm a rape survivor too. Woo! We got this, solidarity. And I was just like, is this a joke or
Right.
is this something
Right.
serious?
Mhm.
Or and then as the panel progressed, because I looked at the guest and I was like, are you okay? She was like, oh yeah, we're going to talk about it about my book. And then she pulls the book out and I was like, well, this was not supposed to be a panel about your book, but here we go. And
Yeah.
it's what it
Wowzer.
became. So I had to pivot, but I was fully prepared to be like, any type of sexual misconduct is a serious thing, and it's a very personal story. And whenever somebody openly puts that out into the world, it can be devastating for someone to listen or witness. So I'm in a room full of people, and I have people coming in the door fisting in solidarity that they are rape victims too. And I'm like, what is about to happen? This can go one of two ways. And it turned into a very, very nice, supportive, helpful, but it could have easily went the other way. And that was one of the reasons why I was like, oh, people think I have a great job, but today is not that day.
We're here to
not
talk
that
about
day.
TV. Like, what happened?
Tony, so have you had an incident where, and let me say this first, but I agree with Tony. Sometimes the job that we do can be incredibly scary because we can do as much research as we possibly can on the person that we're going to be assigned to for that weekend, and we'll always miss something. There's always going to be, and this is how I rely a lot on the audience because they know more about the celebrity sitting next to me than I do.
Exactly.
I really lean on a lot on the questions, and I get educated with every panel that I'm at. And I love them and I appreciate that for them, but we can't know everything about every single
especially when the guest is late. You don't have that prep time with them backstage.
You don't have I've had that occurrence too, where I'm staying on stage trying to stretch. And all of a sudden, here comes the celebrity. You see the door from off the stage sometimes, and here they come running up on the stage, and I don't have.
And
time
away you go,
say,
off to the races.
You can't say at that time, hey, by the way, is there anything we're not supposed to talk about?
Exactly.
We're already at the table, for God's sake.
And that was the incident that happened the way that it rolled out, is because the guest was late. So when the guest walked in, it was a small enough room that as soon as the guest walked in, the whole audience saw. And then the women stood up and they were all doing all of that. And I was like, what is happening? Because this is not what that panel is. It was a celebration of this person's body of film work. And it became about this book that they had written. So, which was fine, but I just was unaware because I didn't have that prep time.
So what you're saying is I should write a specific notes and script for myself and plan out when somebody comes late so I can know, I'm just going to flow into it. That's how my brain works. That's what I want to work on next.
It's just one of those learning experiences.
Tony had mentioned something earlier before we started, or when we did start, and that was about nervousness, how he still gets nervous. In all honesty, raise your hand if you never get nervous when you're up on that stage sitting next to your chair.
I mean,
Show off.
Well, we can't all be Tony or Crispy.
No,
you know what, though? My acting teacher would say, Chelsea, nerves are a good thing. It means you care.
If you ain't scared, you don't care.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
And to your point, that's because I have a theater background. Like it was my job to get out there and on stage and entertain people since I was in the 8th grade. So being
I
able
have
to
fallen on my face, so I can't get embarrassed anymore.
Exactly.
The worst things have happened to me where I have peed on myself in public. I have fully given speeches that were the wrong speech at the wrong venue. I have fallen terribly. I have no kids left. I'm pushing 50, so I just go, yep, it's going to be what it's going to be.
My very first panel ever was Brett Dalton from
Oh, what a lovely man.
And I came a roundabout way to do panels. I've been doing interviews for years, and I was like, let me do some panels. Like try this one, let's see how you do, and we'll see if you come back. And so it was just Brett Dalton and I for the very last panel of the year that year. It was a live broadcast in the Matrium. Huge crowd. He was running a little late, and me and the person backstage were joking about, I'll just go out there and do an improvised dance until he gets there. Well, he walks in and hears that. He's like, all right, get out there and do it. And I'm like, oh, no, just joking. And I go to introduce him, and the crowd cheers, and he pokes his head out. He's like, no, Crispy said he would dance. I'm not going to get on stage until he starts to dance.
This was glorious.
So,
it's not like we streamed this to everybody and all the. Oh wait,
we totally did. And this went on like we're like, oh no, like kind of bantering back and forth. It went on like a full 3 minutes until eventually some random music was played. I don't know what dumb thing I did because this white boy don't dance, and I've got no rhythm. And eventually, like I was able to lure him out, but that immediately the tone.
Please, Brad,
that was the tone for the entire hour. Like immediately, it was no longer the Brett Dalton panel. He invited me to be a part of his experience. And so he and it became the Brett and Crispy show. And that's something you typically don't want to do with a moderator because you were there as a facilitator. You're not there as the focus. But when they invite you to play, you play.
Yes.
And it's open, that being my first panel ever, I was like, well, hell, I got nothing to be embarrassed about from here on out.
I just do it.
Yeah, just do it. Yeah.
Or race chairs with David Tennant.
Yeah,
Because that's what he wants to
Yeah,
do.
yeah, pretty much.
Well, I mean, that goes into the category again of crazy stories, which we've already talked about early on. But like I said, you guys have a million different kinds of stories that is told and happen at DragonCon. Let me ask you a personal opinion. Considering other conventions that you've done, not as moderator, but basically as an attendee,
Yeah.
do you honestly really consider us the best?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
without question.
Attendee.
Yeah, 100%.
I wouldn't be here if I wasn't.
Renee, loaded
What was that?
question.
I said, have I been an attendee at a convention anytime?
No, right.
Yeah.
It's a weird experience after you've worked con, going to a con with nothing to do.
I ask for work. I have to find a task to do. I can't just get my first con was Dragon Con, and I was a volunteer. Anytime I've ever just gone to a show, I'm like, please put a camera in my hand. Please give me a task. I just don't know
Move
what.
some chairs or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, how can I help?
Yeah.
My favorite
pretty-
playing convention is MomoCon. So I will say, of all the conventions that I do help out as a volunteer or director that aren't DragonCon, MomoCon is specifically my play con. And I recommend everybody that works in fandom in some capacity should have one convention that they devote to going to have fun at.
Yeah.
You know, it's really interesting that all you guys have said that, because I don't attend the conventions as a fan. I think I have every comic I want, need, and whatever. You know, I really, especially if you see the same celebrity at multiple cons, you hear the same story all the time. So you don't try. We'll get that back. You don't really. Oh, that was Tony that left. I'm sorry.
Tony.
I mix them up all the time.
There could be only one.
There can only be one. But you don't really
Egg timer went
enjoy
off, so
sometimes
it's gone.
sitting in an audience listening to a celebrity that, you know, I hear the same stories from certain celebrities each and every time.
Mhm.
So last thing I'm going to do is really sit in that panel. Has nothing to do with my dislike of the celebrities, but they're entertaining right now, and I've seen the show.
Yeah.
So unless I'm working, unless I volunteer for something, unless somebody asks me to come and moderate or host their shows, you know, I really don't do. I went down to a convention here in Orlando over the weekend, but I only went down there to see Kevin McNally and Lee Ehrenberg. You know, we've been texting before he came to the show. He's coming to Orlando, so all I was interested in was just sitting around.
I've been there.
Yeah, with a beer. I want to sit at a table with a beer and just chat about everything other than what he does. You know, and that's probably one of the things. These celebrities who gets up on stage, they have probably answered every question multiple times. They go into hold on, I get Tony back here. You know,
Hi, sorry.
you left us. You know, they go into that mode where it is acting once again. There are great questions that come from the audience. I love the creative ones. I love to see a celebrity shocked, excited, thrilled because they've just gotten a question they never heard of before.
Right.
What is probably amongst all of you guys, one or two or three questions that you hear every single event?
So I have a two-part question.
Go for it. You beat Renee. You beat Renee.
No, that was the thing. He just said the thing.
Yeah.
That wasn't
That
mine,
was
but
it.
Yeah.
No,
And
mine
that's
is
in my
how-
moderator's speech that I don't allow them in my panels.
I do
You do?
too.
That's
Hey, look,
smart.
guys,
Yeah,
one
yeah.
question each. There are people behind you in line, and they get really mad. People at the end of the line when you know that 5-minute left sign comes up, and you know there's 20 people in line back there. You know, but Crispy, really, that was the question, or that was the question?
That's our kryptonite. It's like someone who comes up there, and like you said, we've heard it all.
Yeah.
But it's always the person who comes in and is like, hey, yeah, I've got a 15 multiple part choice essay question.
Yeah.
And so then they go off and then they have their huge question. And then the celebrity is like, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
What could you just like condense that question for me? And it's not a neg to the person.
Right.
It's just they're excited to be there.
Yeah,
And I
exactly.
totally get that.
Can I
As
role
someone who's under
play?
the phrase info dump.
The
And
phrase that
role
pays
play.
for me. The
Wait,
phrase that
somebody
pays
wants
for
to
me
role
is
play.
I can't answer your question until you stop asking it.
Oh wow. Okay.
I've never said that on
That's a good
stage, but I've
Yeah.
thought it really loudly a few times.
Oh,
Mark
wow.
Shepard would say that. I saw him recently he's been at Dragon. I saw him recently at a different con, And he was just like, "Can you? All right, that's enough. I know where you're going with this. Okay,
Yeah.
yes.
You know that
Next
time
question.
when you were left on the planet all alone and they didn't want to come to rescue you, but you knew you had the person next to you who you could have threw at the animal and you didn't do that? Why didn't you do that, by the way? And you know the other series, the other episode?
So I think what you're really trying to ask here is, yes, I do like chocolate ice cream. Next question.
Good answer. Tony,
The
role
answer
play.
is the script.
I was going to role play. Dot, will you be my celebrity guest?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Go,
And I'll
Dot.
be the person
She already
asking the
is.
question.
Okay.
All right, hold on. Let me have my microphone. Hi.
Hi.
Thank you so much for coming to Dragon Con. It's my first convention ever.
Well, it's my first convention ever.
Oh my gosh, we're the same. So I've been a fan of yours for so long. You have done so many tremendous things to help me and my family. For I was born in just a cardboard box left at a bus stop when I was a small child, raised by my aunt in a trailer park. And I haven't had much, but I had one TV that only played your show. And my favorite episode was the one that played over and over and over and over again. But I never understood how come when you went around the building and you came out the other side, your belt was a different color. Do you remember that? Because I remember that.
Yep.
Thank you so much. Can I give you a hug?
There it is.
That one.
I'm on a stage right now. No.
No, Renee, you're right.
No.
Renee,
Oh my
Renee
God.
spotted too. That
James
question
Marsters
right
flashbacks.
there. Can I come up and give you a hug?
Yeah.
That's in the speech too.
Oh.
Well,
No,
one
you cannot.
of my first years ever was when James Marsters first came. This was Buffy had ended, and he was going to Angel. And
Mhm.
actually, hanging out with James, meeting James, lovely dude, actually got me involved in watching the show.
Mhm.
But this is the early days. Keep in mind, and since then rules have changed a lot. An audience member actually said, "Oh, hey, can you take your shirt off?" And he's like, "Sure, if you do it too."
Yikes.
And she got up on stage,
Yes, and
and they both took their shirts off.
It's
Was this after 10 o'clock? Was it after 10
No,
o'clock?
this was the early years before we had the 10 p.m.
The before
yeah.
10
and before we
Before.
beamed every panel into every room.
Yeah, yeah.
Young me would have been all over
You
that.
had to
but
be in
like
the room. where it
now
happened. Of
me,
course, everyone lost their minds. She rocked, and she's like, "All right, cool." And it was just like one of those moments where,
Wow.
cool, I didn't consent to see this, but at the same time, this was amazing to watch because she yes-anded it, and it happens. Yeah.
Yeah. How many people have you guys turned away as they headed for the stage unannounced?
I've never had that problem because I try to head it off when I intro the panel. Tony and I had this conversation before I started moderating. I was trying to come up with a way of handling this stuff ahead of time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, Tony, here are the things that I want to try to prevent from happening. How do I not sound like an a-hole when I tell the crowd kind of the base rules? And we went back and forth on this a lot.
Yeah.
And, it's down to like a couple of basic rules. Like, don't tell them you love them. You stood in line. We know that.
Yep.
No multi-part questions because we want to get to as many as possible.
Right.
And this isn't the Walk of Fame. There's no hugs. There's no gifts. There's no handshakes.
Yeah.
And, basically get that across in a way that it's not like you shall not pass, but more of we know why we're here. Let's stay within those parameters. And you've got ways of handling that.
Yeah.
In other parts of the convention. We've opened up other opportunities for you to do that. I will tell you where the Walk of Fame is at the end of the panel, and then y'all go do that thing.
One thing I want to do, and it's not an approved thing. I've had this idea for the last few years. Is now that we're mod squatting officially, is to shoot an intro video, right? And just have a prepackaged video that plays before every panel, where we have just like the fun '70s kind of intro. But we're gonna.
Oh my god! I
have
want to
fun.
miss minutes to do the voiceover.
Exactly.
No,
And-
to that question.
Y'all must be wondering why you stood in line for so long.
As long as Tony wears a fro,
Yeah.
okay,
That's correct.
He's running
No,
down.
Tony,
with two other
Tony,
people.
Now I have no mistake which Tony you're referring
Yeah,
to.
Yeah. Both of you.
Notice
Like,
I didn't.
the idea is to have this video package where, like, you as an audience, you're seeing this really
Right,
fun
just
package,
do this.
and you relate the comedy with the negative statements,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So you kind of give them
Right.
that
Crispy, the
speech
Hawks
goal.
do that perfect with their
Yes,
code of
yeah.
conduct.
Yeah,
They do a code of
100%.
conduct, no language, no this, no that, and it's always hilarious, and it gets the point across.
Yeah.
And I
Ooh,
think
like
that's a great
Delta.
idea.
Like
Yeah.
Delta is one that
well,
they
you know,
did.
Delta
Well,
only
Delta
did
got
for
queer
one.
eye, so
We for so long have wanted to shoot an air safety video for the con room. Like,
Hey,
and
has-
I've gone back and forth with people who
Wow.
work at Delta. I'm like, can we use the plane that we know you have for shooting the video? And they're like, absolutely not. We can
wow.
I know
use
a
the
person
plane.
that has a plane, Brian, so we'll talk.
Hey,
He's a
Crispy
former
Brian,
tech ops director.
Crispy Brian, is DragonCon TV coming up with any COVID-related segments this year?
We tried to stay away from, and from a writer's standpoint, we tried to stay away from anything that kind of reminded people too harshly about what's going on, because
I agree.
Right.
it's a
I had
thing,
to ask- I
and
had
the
to
situation
ask, yeah.
changes so fast.
Yeah.
Like as Tony Gell knows, with the rule changes we've had to make, just with like our rules are going to come out in the beginning of August. Oh,
Sure.
by the way, we're at the middle of August now, and here's a whole new set of things.
Yeah.
What's a twist?
We're supposed to be escapist a little bit, so we really don't lean into it very
Right.
much.
No, I wrote a lot of the stuff for the Goes Virtual year, like a lot of the bumpers and the big messages, like the mask, like anything that you saw that was basically, and like there's a team of us, right? But like a lot of it is the ones that I was spearheading. That was my goal last year, especially with the virtual year, was to not remind everyone about the shit show that we're in, and to just we're here to celebrate, we're here to have fun,
I
and
like
that
that
was the
thought.
message at the end of the day.
Yeah, and not to mention it will go highly political and freaking sad.
yeah.
So that's a very good. I had to ask. People basically have to know, but I'm glad that decision matches with mine. I think it's very appropriate just to have fun. It's been literally 2 years if you think about it.
Right.
Since we've all been
But we
together.
have
weeks
something
later.
new for Dragon Con.
Oh yeah.
No?
Hold
Yeah,
on.
if we can pimp it out.
Yeah, toss it out there.
Spill the tea. Spill the tea.
Yeah.
So not only, of course, does DCTV have its own unique brand of content that is brought to fans every year with their bumpers and their commercials and their funny bits and the morning show. So DCTV brings a lot of stuff and covers the parade. But there's going to be a new social media arm of content, of filmed content called Dragon's Den that I'm a producer for the very first time.
Hey.
Super excited.
What
So,
is that
we'll be
providing,
highlighting
Tony?
that.
What is that providing?
what?
You said Dragon's Den.
Dragon's Den is providing commercial and interview segments for use throughout the year to reach fans that haven't maybe committed or found their way to Dragon Con just
Oh,
yet.
fantastic.
So we like to see DCTV as kind of an arm of media that has the captured fan and entertains the captured fan.
Internal.
And Dragon's Den is going to go after future fans.
Oh,
So
fantastic.
we're real excited to do that this
Yeah.
year.
It's internal versus external, which has always been a hurdle
Yeah,
for us.
So, like,
that's a simpler way.
Yeah.
So like the Late Show, which I've been doing for, God, is it 10 years now?
It's been a
I think it's
longer than that.
it's-
honestly.
no, it's
Oh,
12
sorry,
years
Brian,
now.
I called it, the morning show. I apologize. The late show.
Yeah, well, it's
Yeah.
the Late Show, because if you're up at 9 a.m., you were up late from the night before.
That was my joke, and I'm glad y'all ran with it because oh
Yeah.
my god,
Right.
love it
Right.
having people in that room.
But the thing is,
thank you.
you'll see a difference between the way Tony does town halls and I do the Late Show, because the Late Show is basically, here's how to navigate and survive the event that you are at. And then everything else from the reason we do bumpers year round is to try to keep a little bit of content going. But there is a difference between how you communicate with the community at the event and off the event.
Yeah.
And so that's why those are kind of two separate things.
Can I just say that Dragon Con TV's music is always so good? Like the first year I went to Dragon Con and was not paying attention years ago,
Mhm.
I would just hear, I was trying to sleep. I don't know why. And I kept hearing the
First
music
mistake.
play. And then and then the words of some show was coming on, which was Dragon Con TV. And then the music would play again. And I'm like, what is this anime-centric rave thing that's happening all while I'm trying to sleep? And I loved it. And then I realized that it was the music behind all the bumpers.
Yeah.
And I just love that music so
We spend
much.
so much time on that because
Oh my God.
we can't use real licensed music, right? We've got to go into royalty-free catalogs, and our Discord discussions, and before that the Slack, and before that my email inbox was mostly like
AOL
people going
installation.
through and figuring out what sits in these licensable catalogs that is good and interesting and also matches the mood. Like we'll look at the written part of a bumper, and if it has a dramatic turn, then we go for its minor key. And then, a lot of the we try to avoid, it's just like, well, these are the 8 techno tracks we got for $10 and we're just going to drive those into the ground. There's a lot of thought of timing and stuff. And that Crispy and I really can't take too much credit for that. That's like Jonathan
Deitch is really kind of
Deitch is great.
We started it with Stephen Grenade, and now Deitch is really taking it over. And
I was saying, if you had a whole dance with that music? Like,
Literally,
we'll
I was
have,
gonna
like, a
say,
whole
so let's
rave
get
that's
Dot
just
and Renee together.
We could do a royalty-free rave. There we go.
The royalty
Seriously?
rave. Let's
That's
do
what
it.
it should be called, the
Oh my
royalty-free
God.
rave.
yes,
And
please.
Happy
you just have to wear
birthday,
plain
a bunch of
t-shirts.
classic.
You know,
You can't wear anything
everybody's gotta come.
branded.
Everybody's
You got to
gotta
get
come
those
and dress
beer
as
cans that
pauper.
just say beer from the 70s movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the pull
That's
tab.
amazing.
Yeah.
I'm down. I'm totally down.
Hey guys, I promised I would keep you for an hour, but I have a final question I want to ask
Sure.
for this, and I want to ask it of you as fans and not as moderators.
Oh.
Yeah,
Ooh,
we're gonna go.
fun.
We're gonna go around. We're gonna go around the horn here.
Okay.
Everybody, point to the person to your. Yeah, don't point back at me. Go to Brian. Brian, you go down. No, other way, Crispy. Other way, Crispy. Yeah, Brian, go down.
I'm sorry, it's not mirrored. So
Yeah, I can see the mirrors throwing us
Guys,
up.
going-
yeah.
Renee, other direction to Renee. Other direction.
All right, we'll go that way.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
No, and Tony, Tony P, you gotta point diagonally
All right.
to Tony.
Down to
Diagonal
Tony.
down.
Gee.
There you go.
No.
you know we all have names, right? We don't have to do the change.
There we go. All right.
You
Quick,
should.
quick, we got it. All right.
Okay.
We're free.
Somebody did a
YMCA.
screenshot. Okay,
Right.
here's my
Flashback
final
to shoot.
question as fans, but before I do that, I want to really thank you guys for all coming on. I admire each and every one of you guys, especially Renee and Dot, who I've never met before, but they're just so damn hot. But I just honestly think
Wow. First of
Well,
all,
I'm outta
there
here.
are plenty of hotness.
you're hot.
Yeah,
Tony.
Tony's
I'm
insulted
sorry, I didn't
now.
mean to leave you out.
I grew my
Tony.
hair out and
You're
everything.
Hair flip.
Yeah,
To
yeah.
drink this tea.
Do that again, Tony. Tony, you gonna let your hair grow out? Or are you letting your
I'm
hair
gonna let it grow past my butt. Absolutely.
As fans, what is your most favorite thing about Dragon Con? As fans, not as workers, get out of that mode, not as moderators,
Okay.
but just Dragon Con as a whole. I'll start with Crispy first.
Yeah, it's the community. I mean, and point blank, like when we were doing Goes Virtual, that was the drum that I was beating. So
Mhm.
I was like,
Oh, yeah.
like, sure, we could do this. But what's important to me personally, and for everyone that comes to the show, is not the celebrities, not the merch. Everyone has a thing that they come for,
Mhm.
and that's to socialize and the community aspect. And
Right.
Dragon Con provides, and I say this as a fan, some of the best socializing experiences I've ever had in my life, and I've been doing this show for 20 years. I'm not saying this as a representative of the show. It's some of the few times a year I get to see some of my friends, and we get to catch up. We get to compliment each other's awesome costumes or assorted scotches they're bringing. You name it. It's the community aspect that does it for me.
Mhm.
Awesome. Brian?
Well, aside from just straight up stealing Crispy's answer because it's correct, I think that it's a discovery type of thing. You go into this broad convention and you will come out with something new to enjoy, love, consume, dig in about. I've picked up 4 or 5 different fandoms and I had no idea these things existed. And it's like, oh, that walked by in the parade. All right, I gotta get into that. Or I didn't know they were in this other show. Not just Mark Shepard, but like other people who do more than one show. So that's kind of expansion of what you consider to be the perimeter of science fiction or the perimeter of fantasy, the perimeter of pop culture. You come for something that is your catalyst, like my catalysts, well documented, talking about them on the Late Show, Star Wars, Star Trek, Doctor Who. And then everything else has sort of been piled on to that. Like I didn't get into The Expanse until really late. And that's just because I kept bumping into people who wouldn't stop talking about it. But they were right. So that's the kind of thing. It's you come for what you love and other people love similar things and you'll leave with more things to love.
Excellent. Tony P.
For me, I'm stealing Crispies because it is the people. Yeah, Brian wasn't pointing to me.
Yeah,
was he?
Brian pointed to Dot.
Yeah.
Why did we go
why
through
did we
that
go
whole
through
thing?
this?
Show. He
Mark
can go
just
whatever
like,
order
yeah,
he
Jesus
wants.
Christ.
So,
guessing.
True.
It's
I
the-
like keeping you on your toes, dude. You're going to be in front of more people than we.
it really is the people. I've been, I guess this is my 12th, 13th Dragon Con. I didn't get involved until the past 5 years. And that's because I loved it so much. I was like, I want to do more. I want to be a part of it. And people, I have a friend coming this year for the first time. I had a friend a couple years ago come for the first time. And I tell everyone, I'm like, I swear to you, everybody's going to be nice. Everybody's going to be nice and help you and be cool and respectful. And I say, if you get lost, just ask somebody. I don't know who's going to. They're like, really? Yeah, ask somebody. I promise you, they will help you. I promise you, they will give you directions to the Walk of Fame. I guarantee it. I don't know who you'll run into, but I guarantee it, they will be cool. And it's just a great 5 days. A buddy of mine used to say it was escape from reality. And, for 5 days, it literally is 199.99%. Everyone is absolutely through the roof amazing. So the people, definitely.
Awesome. Good question. Good answer there. Renee?
Aside from what everybody else said, I'm going to say the hotels. I really love this isn't a vacation for me. So it's like, it is a getaway, but it is still a lot of work. But I love just walking around and being in the city, in Atlanta. Like if I get a chance to eat at one of the bars or the restaurants, that's super cool. If there's food trucks nearby, that's also really cool. Like I just love being in the downtown atmosphere and knowing that this is very Atlanta thing. And I loved in the past couple years, especially the Hilton, but like I'm very biased to the Hilton because my panel room is. But I love how they have really, like, at least in the past year, they've really gone into the whole like nerdscape. Like they had a whole Jurassic Park theme one year, or like the whole dinosaurs. They put up people's pictures on a projector in the lobby. So if you tag them, they'll broadcast it. So like they want to be part of the action.
Right.
Also, shout out to anybody who has to clean up afterwards. Like the people who we have to talk to, the people checking us in, the people, but they're all it is just so very Atlanta to me. And that is why I love being just in that space with everybody. And I love Atlanta hotels.
How about you, Dot?
I mean, the people are all right, but have y'all been to the parties?
Can't have the parties with the people, Dot.
Because I'm just saying, Dot's a bit of a heathen at heart, so Nighttime Dragon Con really gets my blood pumping. I plan all year. I plan like daytime costumes, and then I plan like nighttime costumes. It's just Nighttime Dragon Con has this heartbeat, this rhythm that I think is so wonderful that you just don't get at other conventions. Like you can go to a festival and get the same experience, but y'all, it is the nerdiest festival that you can attend, Dragon Con. Like it's a con and a festival and everything that I need it to be every year. And so, I work some things out on a dance floor somewhere, dancing next to two fairies and Deadpool. So,
is one of the fairies also a Deadpool?
Probably.
Yeah, probably.
Or is with the Deadpool. Who knows? It's Dragon Con.
God, I'm gonna find you. I'm gonna find you this con, and we're going to meet in person
in the
for
Dragon
party.
Deadpool.
All the pixie dust. You'll be
sure.
fine.
Wow. Tony.
The dick.
Oh, not Tony.
The perfect button.
It's everywhere. Man, I've been there
more-
for 20
you're
years.
more-
It's everywhere.
I was about to say, you're more.
I'm so mad. Women have found Dragon Con and they're taking it all away from me. It used to be just like shooting fish in a barrel. They would all strike out at 3 a.m. I would look real pretty. All of it.
It's close to 10 p.m.
You still do that now.
But it's not quite
kidding.
10 p.m. yet.
No, I mean, like,
Yeah, we're still not at the watershed yet. It's not 10 p.m. here, but I'm on a different side of the
amazing
country. So.
answers.
Yeah.
So it really is. Gosh, the moments that you have where you get to see a fan have that interaction with a guest that can never be duplicated, isn't forced or planned. It's natural, organic, and you can see that that's going to be the story and the memory that they take. So being able to be a part of watching people, like being the host of a party, you want your guests to have the best time and to remember your party as the best one. So for me, it's that expectation that I'm hoping that someone's best memory is created at the show that I help put together. So that really is my true answer. The dick is just a bonus.
But a close second.
A close second, too.
I
speaks for all of us.
said,
Follow that up, Mark Lee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bring us home.
It's impossible. But I will have to say that I adore people. I have a lot of friends around the world, and I think the reason for that is because they knew I wasn't a dick. They knew that Well, he's not here to gain anything out of what he's doing. He's having a good time. I don't get up on stage and then run to my room after my job is done. I'm in the bar. And at my age, I'm planting my ass on a chair and I'm just enjoying. I'm just enjoying the scenes. I cannot keep humping it from hotel to hotel to see where the best freaking party is. My God, it's past 9. What the hell am I doing?
That's why
Nice just getting started, Mark.
Out where they are,
There's
and
an
you
app
map
for
it.
that. Don't you know?
Yeah, you don't have to go everywhere. You just map it, and you're like, I'm literally. Don't talk to me. I'm going from
here.
to the West End right now. There's no reason to jump. You know,
I wanna
We
see
put
you.
joints out in fake plants in our 20s, so you youngins can run.
I was about to say, I want to see you in
Wow.
CBS buying that Geritol, okay?
I am very close to you guys, so just I don't know how old everybody is. but
Okay,
I'm not 20.
I
I'm
just
100.
ordered my ibuprofen for Dragon Con. Like I got
Specifically for
a 100 bottle. Like,
Hold on. I gotta add a question though.
Inserts.
Who the hell stays up past midnight knowing they got a job to do in the morning? Raise your hand.
Oh yeah,
Not
Every
deliberately.
once in a while.
I'm lucky if I get
Sometimes
4 hours
the
of
4
sleep.
a.m. raves get you really
Yeah.
pumped for the next day. It really just depends
You
on
just
what
roll
happens
straight
before.
into coffee. Yeah,
The
you roll
biggest
straight
mistake,
into
the
coffee.
biggest mistake,
Yeah.
the biggest
Here's
mistake,
the
7 to 12.
Midday nap.
That's it.
the biggest
Yep.
mistake I ever made was getting a room in the Marriott on the 2nd floor.
Don't do that.
At least you get to your room
I
easy.
was-
But Lord,
Hold on.
Oh, I
was-
had a year. I was on the first room floor, and I was so thrilled because there's a secret stairway over by
Yes, it
the
is, and
atrium
that's
that
why
actually
I
takes you
got
up to
that
that
room.
first level. And I'm
Yes.
like, this is great. And then the next night, I'm like, this
night.
is suboptimal.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna like it's me every night. I'm just like ear muffing up.
it doesn't matter what floor you're on in the Marriott. You could be all the way at the top, and it just funnels up. And if that's your vibe, that's your thing. Amazing.
Yeah,
This kid hangs out in the Radius Tower where no one's allowed, and it's quiet, and it's cold, and it's beautiful.
Yeah,
Weston.
Brian, but you're right. The reason I got that room is because I never had to use the elevators. I never had to
Yeah.
fight for them. I never had to stand there for half an hour for an elevator. There
Yeah.
was a staircase, and I'm all the way. But then nighttime came. I'm like, what the hell did I
And then
do?
the night.
And then Dragon Con wakes up.
Oh my God! It was.
I mean,
horrible.
you're not the idiot who was like, yeah, I'll get on stage at 9:00 every morning during the con. This will be fantastic. And then several times have hosted the show by myself because my co-hosts had a little too much fun.
Oh,
Oh.
gotcha.
Those
See,
are the-
You're out on
you do it
assignment.
responsibly, which means
Yep.
if you know,
The
work
one,
hard, play hard, people. That's the Dragon Con
oh
way.
right, 100%.
Yeah.
The one
Brian,
time, the one time I did that show with Brian, I did it as the puppet over my
Yes.
shoulder.
Oh, God.
And so there was a story that I evolved for the puppet as the show went on. So it got to Monday, and then the puppet was topless, and I'd put some electrical tape, even though the puppet doesn't have nipples. But and so the puppet was just like completely hung over, like we just fed into.
Was that the show where we all started out under the table where they ran the intro and the table was blank and then we all just crawled up from the
No,
table?
but that's on
Monday?
point. That's on
Okay.
brand, and that's
Yeah.
Dragon Con in a nutshell.
That's amazing. Guys, my God, we almost did 90 minutes on this, and we could have done 2 hours. I mean, we could have done 3 hours. There's enough
You
information
have
to talk
professional
about.
moderators.
I was about to say,
Some-
Well,
All the talkers
None
in
of us
one
were in
room.
charge, so we didn't check the time. Sorry.
There's no one holding up a sign.
Yeah, you gotta get another person to log in with
5
a
minutes?
sign.
Yeah.
Thank you,
That's what
10.
we're looking for.
Yeah, 5 minutes, you know. Or what's the last sign say?
Get
Get
out.
off
I
stage
can't say
now.
that on broadcast.
What's it say? I'm sorry.
I can't say that on broadcast.
Oh well, no,
DTF.
no.
I can't use those words here.
DTF, oh, the
It's more
stage.
like a symbol.
Get the F
a
off.
hand
There's
gesture.
something like that, right?
Yeah.
Get the F off. I
It's
don't
just
know,
the swear emoji, but it's
Yeah,
printed
yeah.
really big.
but, you know, it's interesting how. Oh, thank you, Tara.
Thanks.
Biggie five.
Thanks, Tara.
Thank you.
Go to bed. Anyway, this was great. You guys are fantastic. Can't wait to see you guys in a few weeks. We know what we're doing. Hopefully, we educated people who didn't really know what the hell we do or how we did our jobs. This is
Right.
only half of probably, the rest of the story, but we gave you guys as much as we could. But be kind to us. We're trying our best. If we told you one question out there in the audience is for a reason, because we care about all of you and not about you personally. Figure that out. But
All right,
Thank
so
you,
now for my
guys.
second part of the question.
Tony, can you take your shirt off?
The mic.
Yeah,
the
oh
mic.
no, don't do that.
Oh, wait a minute. This is some prime grade A fat here, baby.
Go for it. Prime, grade A.
We're all in this together.
Oh
Save
my
it for
God.
Dragon Con, Tony. Save it for Dragon Con.
You're right. Okay, I will.
Let me drop that real
Is that
quick.
our outro? What's that?
Hey guys, thank you so much. Whoever you have for your panels this year, break a leg.
Billy
as-
Piper.
You too,
Whose
Mark.
leg?
Excited.
Who's that?
I
What'd you
got a
say, Tony?
list.
Break the leg
Harvey
of the
and Tyler.
guest.
No,
Tony,
no.
what'd you
Yes.
say? Who?
Billy Piper. Who else?
Oh,
is
Billy
gonna be moderating?
Piper. Oh, Tony. Ask her about her feet.
No, don't
No,
don't.
don't do that.
Isn't
This
that
got
rule
weird.
number 1 of moderating?
She will
Don't
bring
ask
it up.
about her
Is
feet.
that rule
No, it's-
number
it's
above
her own thing.
everything?
Mark, you realize that like OnlyFans can't have that content anymore. We can't either.
Yeah, they've
Oh, that's true. You're gonna have to put a big X over it. Yeah.
I would put my Venmo account up.
yeah.
Okay.
Everyone
So
dances
there's
until
a
the
request
guest
for
arrives.
Jim.
Absolutely.
Yeah, my bad.
I'll do that. Hey guys, thank you so much. Sleep good tonight. See you guys in a few weeks. Thank
Yeah,
you so
absolutely.
much for
See you
putting
next
that.
week.
Rest, hydrate.
Now, because you won't over Labor Day.
Nope.
Yeah.
It's over
True
Labor Day.
story.
Hydrate now.
Hydrate now.
Hydrate. Do your vitamin C. Do a lot of
Yeah.
that, and I guess we're all gonna be wearing masks. Oh, that's the. Oh God, I
Yep.
so forgot.
So,
Tony, you
yeah,
know
thanks, Mark. Yeah, we'll see everybody next week with a mask on. Yep.
Yep.
Good times.
All right,
Okay,
see you
good.
guys.
Bye.
See you guys.
You're waving till we're gone.
Are we still waiting?
Are we still waving?
I
Yeah.
am. Hey, it's me.
It is where?
Yeah,
Shout out
I'm
to
right
Clay who
there
made this
behind the
video.
flag with the
Yep.
afro.
And here we have the Big Daddy walking down the highway. Oh, wait, we're on the clock.
Oh, please tell me that's cabbages.
It was
It
cabbages.
was cabbages.
Oh Lord.
Hey, see?
Yeah.
Hey,
Welcome to the
double
MS3K version of Pure Imagination.
Oh,
with
yeah.
Dragon Con
It's the
TV.
guys from Independence Day.
I love this one.
Oh.
That's awesome.
Oh, yes.
Yep.
He's the coolest.
Incredible cosplay.
Hey, was that the TVA?
It was.
Hey, Christy, who put this together?
Clay from one of the founding members of Dragon Con TV back in the day, our good friend Clay.
Excellent.
Clay Tap. He shot
Wonder what it
everything
feels
that
like to only
weekend.
work on one video all weekend.
Yeah.
That must be refreshing.
This was his job. He went out and recorded and shot this and put it all together, and we premiered it at the end of the Masquerade in 2019.
Wow. Yeah,
Oh,
I
that is
remember
awesome.
that.
That is wonderful.
And of course, the Masquerade ends, and we're all crying when this video airs.
That was
So
the
also,
year that Tony
thanks, Clay. I
dyed
hate
his
you.
beard green. For the
Oh, yeah, it was an
Oompa
Oompa Loompa. Yes.
Oh
Yes, you
yeah,
were.
I remember that year he
Co-hosting.
was.
Yeah.
Oompa Loompa.
Loompa. I remember walking into your hotel room and they were painting your face green.
And you're like, what the hell?
See you next year, Space Cowboy.
Aw.
Hey guys, thank you.
Yay.
Get away, everybody.